everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 17 of TBHX, and the last few episodes have been crazy. Like, really, Ghostblade's story has been so good, and last episode we had Ghostblade, we had Nono finding out that he's her dad, we had Little Johnny and Big Johnny showing up on the scene to help out, we had Lo Lee, there was DJ Shindig, apparently Shindigged his last. And now I'm nervous because Ghostblade's been associated and had the fear get all up on him. I don't know what that's going to do to him. And we're on our way to a spaceship to find out answers and lead to the climax of the season. So that's what we're going into. And this is all taking place essentially like 2 years before where we currently are. So there's that. But anyway, so let's get into this and talk a little bit about this episode. There's a couple comments for episodes 14 and 15 that I want to get to. I'm recording a little bit ahead because I have to travel to a trip in a few weeks, so I'm trying to get a little bit ahead of the game so I don't have to worry about recording while I'm gone. Not that I could, but you know how it goes. So KPF Hunter 1315 for episode 4 said what Lee Hao Lin wanted to say about this episode is that in a normal universe without trust value, other companies would be DOS as usual journalism, Mighty Glory as the Power Ranger company that makes merchandise and other products, Tree Man as real estate. It's crazy that FOMO in real life would get the most shit due to mass internet popularity. I suppose the message is it's not the platform that's the problem, it's how people use it. That's very true. That's very true. It's really, you have all these companies and corporations that could do good, but people are just easily corruptible and not great. So there's that. Now I want to correct something because No Cover did clarify that Ghostblade's name is Wang Yi, which is why Nono has Wang in her name. And I'm like, okay, I'm guessing that just like how the commoner people may not know that he was Ling Li, although that's a whole different circumstance. I'm guessing people don't know Ghostblade's actual name, which he did talk about in episode 15 that he took his own name. So, but I feel as if, I don't know, I do question like whether if Nono really wanted to know her father's identity. I feel like the fact that she has her dad's name, I feel like it would be pretty easy for her to figure out, like, that her dad is Ghostblade, because the family was pretty much tied to Ghostblade. And plus, the mom, even though she said the dad is dead, like, Nono could have gone to the dad's family, and that would have gave everything away. The dad's family would have been like, no, he's alive. He's Ghostblade. Like, so that is a little bit of a, I don't know, it feels like a plot hole. Like, why didn't she go ask? Like, because the mom was fully ready to move in with the other family, so I guess she's been keeping Nono away from the other family, but she never did any investigating, like, on her dad's name or his family. Like, she never wanted to find all that out. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, I'm picking holes in the plot, but I'm like, why didn't she research that? If my dad had died at an early age, even if my mom was like, oh, he's a bad person, curiosity would have killed the cat. I would have wanted to know, like, who was he? Where was he from? What was his family? And I would have wanted to kind of connect with some of his family. So explain, Lee Hao Lin. And then other than that, they said something fun about Ghostblade is he was born in year 0, which means that whatever the commission year is, that's how old he is. But I don't know. Does that check out? Because again, the episode where he's like with them is year 39. So is he really 39 in that year? And he's only like 30. Oh God, he's only a year older than me and his daughter is 18. That's problematic. I don't like that at all. It's not problematic because that means he was, 21 when she was born? That's not problematic, but like, ew. That's a personal problem. But yeah, anyway, interesting indeed. Alexander Q for episode 15 says, I feel for Ghostblade so much. He loves his daughter, clearly, but there are some things you can't change about yourself. I wish the wife would have understood and let him be a part of Nono's life. I have a lot of issues with the wife. I talked about them the last couple episodes. I really feel as if she could have done so much more, and there needed to be so much communication between them, and it just it just didn't happen. And I replied to a lot of comments basically saying what I said in episodes 14 and 15 and 16. But anyway, mainly 15 and 16. And then Daewoo3 YY for episode 15 says, I think it's great that Ghostblade is portrayed as a capable badass who also lives with the psychological or neurological conditions. I especially like that he's always been hypersensitive and selectively mute due to his upbringing, even before his trust value reinforced his silence. Yay, disability representation. Honestly, between this series and another series that I'm watching on the channel at the exact same time, there's been a lot of discussion about accessibility and disability representation, and that's a really important thing to me. So I really love that I'm watching shows that kind of tackle those topics, and Ghostblade is just the fact that affective disorder has so many layers and is such a broad spectrum disorder, I think allows his character to connect to a lot of people. And that's kind of cool to have this badass character who is still really strong. He's got a lot of stuff he's dealing with, but is still really strong and capable despite those neurological disorders. So kudos, Ghostblade. If Lee Howlin makes you die, I will riot. A girl will riot real hard. So anyway, those are the comments that I have. I do want to talk about this one thing though. Vidyard has this weird AI thing that it's doing. I'm not a fan of generative AI. I don't like it at all. I'm very anti it, but Vidyard is pretty important for my reactions to be housed. So they've started doing this thing where you upload a video and it gives it an automatic title and it gives timestamps. Okay, timestamps work, but some of the automatic titles are unintentionally really funny. Sometimes they don't do sometimes they don't do a title because they can't get enough info for the video. But the one for episode 16, was this, where it says unlikely duos, a hilarious adventure. That for episode 16 is actually hilarious. I'm like, what? For some reason, that just really tickled my fancy. So there you go. But anyway, I showed that on Patreon. I felt like showing it to you all now that we're getting started with episode 17. But I don't know. There's lots that could happen. Little Johnny is missing. And the fear has taken hold, maybe Ghostblade, and we're nearing this crash site, and we don't know about Cyan and Queen. There's lots of things we talked about last week. I'm just excited to get down and see what's happening. So thank you all for the comments and the kind words and the support. Please make sure that you like the video. Please make sure that you have subscribed to the channel to see To Be Hero X every Tuesday if you have not already. Some of you that have commented are not subscribed, and that would help me out, and it's free to do so. So in any case, let's get this on the roll. I meant to say rolling and on the roll came out, but y'all know what I mean. We're gonna start episode 17 of To Be Hero X, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it. I'm getting real tired of these cliffhangers. I'm getting real tired of these cliffhangers. Oh my gosh. That one just came out of nowhere. I was like, no, dang it. Okay. Well, the good news is maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to check and watch episode 18 before I go on my trip, because it's going to have to suck if I have to wait a long time before watching the episode. So hopefully I'll be able to get to it before then. We're just gonna, I might not be able to wait, y'all. I might not be able to wait because I cannot believe it ended right there. I was like, ugh. So I am very glad that we got to see Vortex and hear Vortex. I'm so glad that we got that, because I was going to be really mad if we didn't get to see who that hero was. Man, a lot of these heroes following a trend, eh? So we're going to talk about, oh my God, Little Johnny and Big Johnny. I could have cried. I could have cried. I honestly think if they had started with episode 17 and then built up the events of episodes 15 and 16, I think if they had started with that, I would have cried in this episode. But since I already knew what was to come, but it still hit really hard though. I don't blame anybody. If you cried, I don't blame you. You deserve that cry. That was freaking sad. And it was just like every revelation kept like impacting the story, and I was like, oh, my heart breaks for Little Johnny. Like, I love Ghostblade as a character. What is this? We're on episode 17, and like at the halfway point of the series, I was like, yeah, I like Lin Ling. I like him. I liked Nice and Wreck. They were great, but everybody else is kind of okay. And then back to back, we had Lo Lee, we had No, we have Ghostblade, we have Little Johnny. I was like, now granted, I do like Queen a lot. I like Queen a lot, but we haven't gotten a lot with her character except her and Boa. So, but I do like her character a lot. But man, episode 13 on, it's just been boom, boom, boom. And I really like it. I'm like, damn, Little Johnny is contending up there with Ghostblade for my favorite. I need to see more with him and Big Johnny. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the title of X. So we're going to put them up here and get that on there. And then I kind of want to talk a little bit about the timeline. So the timeline as it stands, I don't know. I guess that does add up. So if that would have made Ghostblade like, it's like, well, no, that would have all came up. Man, the timeline is starting to come together. So, okay, in year zero, there was something that happened where we think there was an incident that happened. An incident occurred in year zero that started the Hero Commission, whatever. We think, I thought it was honestly the spaceship crashing, but the spaceship, I mean, maybe it did crash and they've been investigating it for like the last 39 years off and on. I guess, maybe, possibly. How did Big Johnny get out then? How did that work? So, whatever. Anyway, we're going to go to year 18, which is where Sheng, who, I like he's just called Sheng. That's just his name. Maybe it means healing in Chinese. Maybe it means healing in Mandarin. I don't know. I don't know enough Mandarin to know. Sound off down below. But I just like he's called Sheng. It's kind of like the commoner. It's kind of like Nice. It's kind of like Lin Ling. Kind of like Moon. You know, just the name. But Sheng has powers being with healing. We're going to talk about that. That's the most tragic thing in the world. Healing. And so he goes to the spaceship and he stumbles upon Big Johnny. Stumbles upon Big Johnny and takes him back. Mistake number one, you didn't turn him into the commission. So the commission's like, why did you take I don't know if the commission even, now Vortex has recognized Big Johnny. So I don't know, maybe, I feel like Big Johnny listens to Little Johnny. So I feel like the commission lets him stay with Little Johnny because he's like, ooh, this giant kaiju could be a problem, but we'll just let Little Johnny take care of him and then it's out of sight, out of mind. So, but there's that. And then 3 years later, and I'm assuming year 21, because it's like 1920 and year 21 to year 22, one of those, that's when Ghostblade kills Sheng. We're going to talk about that. When Ghostblade kills Sheng, and also after doing that, back in year 18, Sheng retired. We're going to talk about that. And then down the road, now also worth noting is that Little Johnny was 9 years old. So, and around this time, he was about to turn 9, because around this time, we find out Little Johnny was around 5.5 at that point, which means that Little Johnny was born in year 13. Okay, fair enough, about year 13. So if he was born in year 13, then in year 39, that's 13 to 23, 23 to 33. Is he 26? Is Little Johnny 26 years old in year 39? So he's like 28 now? Oh my God, that's crazy. Little Johnny is 26 is kind of wild. It's kind of blowing my mind. He's so young. He seems so young in comparison. So, okay, we're going to fill in some gaps for the timeline, but we need to talk about this episode because this was such a good episode. I really liked this one a lot. These last 3 episodes have been hit after hit. So here in 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry if I was acting horny on Maine for Sheng, but our boy Sheng can get it. This man has the aesthetic. He really does. I also kind of like how, going back to this point here, I kind of love how Sheng is this really good foil to Ghostblade. We talked a little bit about it in episode 15, but they really are such opposites, aren't they? They're such opposites where, Ghostblade has this struggle with communication. Sheng is highly communicative. Sheng is like all about the communication. He is like, I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking when I think it. And Ghostblade struggles with that a lot. You have Ghostblade in these muted monochromatic black and gray colors. Sheng is in these bright, vibrant oranges and yellows. Although he does have the black undershirt. He does have the Kim Possible look going on. And he has the bright, vibrant sun hair. Ghost has the moon hair that's like black. They're really good foils for each other. And then you have Ghostblade, who's an assassin. His job is literally to end someone's life. And Sheng's ability as a hero is to heal people and extend life. So they're perfect foils. They are perfect foils for each other. And I'm kind of like living for it. I love it. So, okay, this spaceship has been around. Let's say this spaceship crashed like in year 0. So the idea that fear and trust comes from this alien spaceship, I would not be surprised. But apparently it's been there at least since year 18. I'm thinking since year 0, if we're thinking about it. The only thing that makes me go, okay, so he shows up at this spaceship. We're going to talk about little Johnny and how he looks exactly like a perfect blend of his parents. So oddly enough, there's this big gap here. So we're assuming whatever was in maybe got out. What is in this spaceship? What is this? What's going on? I do love the fact that he has the light. That's really cool. So, okay, there's been these spaceships. Things have gotten out. Multiple things have gotten out. That one's cracked open. That one's cracked open. I don't like that. That one, there's a couple that weren't cracked open, and I wanted to be like, look inside of them. I've seen Alien. I know how scary and terrifying that would be. I'm like, okay, see what's inside of those. But yeah, so there's one that one's cracked open, but then there was one that wasn't. So I'm like, you're not going to look into it? But he does manage to find like the little creature there. Yep, right as I love the shot of Big Johnny in his like pupil there. Nice. I wonder, so, I made the Stitch joke about Big Johnny, but I'm like, was this creature like the pet of the aliens? Where are the aliens? When they crashed, were there aliens? Was Big Johnny's people the aliens? I don't think so, because Big Johnny hasn't changed in like how many years? Unless his species ages insanely slow and it's taken him 30 years of being a toddler. Maybe. I don't know. But my thing is, there were things that crashed out of the alien pods. The glass was broken. Something got out. Something got out. Where did that something go? Where did it go? Are there doppelgangers roaming around? Do I think that the fear and trust came from the alien spaceship? Quite possibly. And humanity was just like, hey, look what we got, without realizing the consequences. But maybe Big Johnny's species were pets. And he just hung around waiting for somebody to come back. And then they didn't. And then this guy, Sheng, took him and got him out of the spaceship. I don't know. But the question remains, and we're going to put it up here. Aliens? And where did they go? Like, where did they go? Where did they go? Are they blending in with humanity? Are they able to, like, camouflage their appearance? Can they use trust value to make themselves, could they use trust value to make themselves look human? I don't know how that works. I don't want to think about it. I feel like we need more evidence. We need more evidence before we can move any further. But that is, I can't believe that the OP just came out after that. I'm going to be really excited when I can see the OP. It's going to be really cool. All right. So anyway, 18 years after the commission, that Hero Tower has been around. I also want to note that the Hero Tower has a very Neon Genesis look to it. I don't know if we've talked about that, but it does. So in year 18, we are in the Hero Tower. Honestly, Sheng is one of the first few heroes we've seen that literally has his family up there in the Hero Tower. So that's kind of cool. Again, that brings another contrast to him and Ghostblade. Sheng is able to take his family up to the Hero Tower, but yet Ghostblade's wife and daughter don't get to come up to the Hero Tower with him. Man, how about that? I am glad. I want to say, as somebody that appreciates the symmetry, but also likes things not being cliche necessarily, I'm glad that little Johnny is not being framed as being a love interest for Nono. That would have been too much. I think that would have been too much cliche on the nose. Let Nono have her relationship with Loli. Let that be a thing, and let little Johnny continue to be an asexual darling. I just let that be the case, please and thank you. But look, if you've not seen My Hero Academia, then this probably will mean nothing to you. But that mom looks like the lost Todoroki. She really does. So she says each star in the sky is a baby. And then they choose their mother and father. And they come from the sky to be by their parents' side. Freaking little Johnny is so damn cute with his little snaggletooth. I want to gobble him up. I want to just take him under my wing and care for him and adopt him. Oh my God, he's so cute. Ugh! So cute. And so, yeah, so his birds in the bee talk is that babies come from the sky. And I'm like, well, he is 5. Was I a star in the sky too? And she says, well, of course. So the book she's reading is I Will Find, what does it say there? I Will Find You Tonight. Cute. I'm very curious. The mom seems like maybe her hair's gone white from her like disease, from her sickness, or maybe her hair was always white and just had the red tracers, like is what with little Johnny. But I also wondered if indigenous is not the right word, because that's like, I'm from America, so if I was thinking of someone indigenous, it's someone that was here first in our country. But I'm wondering if like she's supposed to be like a different culture than the dad. Sound off down below. I know that China has so many different cultures and subcultures, but I'm not as familiar with them. So she just has like, indigenous is the word I would look for to say here. You chose Papa and Mama, and that's how we became a family. She's so, like, even her having this illness, she's so pretty. And little Johnny is a perfect blend of his parents. Like, they're like the mom's like eyes and hair and skin tone, but then the dad's face structure and his hairstyle and his golden eyes. Like, little Johnny carries like the best of both of his parents. The genetics did not fail in this at all. Oh, he's so cute. He's like, why are you grateful to me? And she's like, for coming in this world and becoming my child. The high irony that Sheng's ability is to heal and he can't heal his wife is really tragic. And the kind of disturbing thing about it is, I was thinking about this before I started the discussion, because if you think about it, at one point, I feel like, didn't they say in the story that at one point, like, if you have enough trust value, you can do anything? So there was like a really cynical part of me that wondered if the fandom didn't want him to have the ability to heal his wife for like selfish purposes. And that sounds really awful because it is. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but it is insane irony. And maybe his healing powers don't allow him to go beyond just like cuts and bruises. You know, cuts and bruises aren't the same thing as like, you know, a terminal illness. So that like makes my heart ache. But yeah, he's like, I still don't get it. And he's like, let your mom rest for a bit. And then he's like, well, come play with me, Papa. And I want to play with the boomerang. Yeah, not even Aboriginal, but like there's something that like separates him and his mom. I don't know. And then he gets the call and tells him to be quiet. He's like, don't bother your father when he's on the phone. So there is a little bit of strife between them, because you can tell the mom worries about her husband, about Sheng being in the Hero Association. So we kind of get to see a little bit of what Ghostblade was dealing with, except the wife in that case did not want to be worrying about Ghostblade and worrying about the future of her daughter. Instead, she kind of removed Ghostblade from the equation. Here, the mom is trying to live with the dad and with little Johnny, but we can kind of see the struggles as she's worried about Sheng, and he's not there all the time because he's out, you know, being a hero. But man, he looks great. So yeah, and he's like, okay, yes, Mr. Sheng, I understand. It feels like they also brought in like all of her hospital equipment and stuff to the Hero Tower as well. So she must have gotten sick like maybe after he was born or whatnot while he was a hero. We don't get to know like how long Sheng has been a hero or like what his ranking is. But here's the weird thing. So Sheng is working for Mr. Sheng. Sheng and Sheng. Sounds like a law firm. He's working for him. Then he retires. And then not too long afterwards, Mr. Sheng hires Ghostblade to kill Sheng. I really thought better of Mr. Sheng, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this is a sign of like, oh, you should not be thinking highly of this man, but I really thought better of him, which is crazy. But in the same vein, this is happening way before Sheng Chao dies, because Sheng Chao dies in year 38, right? So, I thought better of Mr. Sheng, but I guess I should not have. Interesting. And like why, I mean, I think it's obvious why he hired Ghostblade to kill Sheng. When Vortex asked him to come back into the Hero Commission, the main reason for that is because in the Hero Commission, Sheng can be monitored. Like he can be watched to make sure he doesn't give away pertinent government information like, oh, you know, an alien spaceship that housed possibly the powers that everybody has, which we'll talk about when he meets Vortex. But the fact that Sheng was like, no, I'm not coming back. I think at that point, well, but here's the thing. When Vortex came to visit him, Ghostblade attacked him not long after that. And Vortex was still in the area. So, I don't know. I feel as if he just knew too much. And then the Hero Commission was like, if he spills information that he shouldn't, then it's going to come back on us. So they had Ghostblade kill him. But it seems so extreme. I feel like Sheng is such a reasonable person. It feels so extreme to have Ghostblade kill him. But maybe we'll find out more about Mr. Sheng doing that. And maybe Ghostblade, well, no, Ghostblade was working for Mr. Sheng at that point. I was questioning whether he was working for Uncle Rock, but he really wasn't. So, But anyway, regardless, so he goes out on this mission, and then the worst happens. The worst happens, and it's a dark, stormy night, and the mom is, like, dying. So it says on there, genealogy analysis, and then it says, like, her heart's at 80%, but, like, her brain functions at, like, 10%. That's not good at all. And their lungs are only at 30%. That's not good at all. And what does it say there? It says sample comparison analysis. So, like, did she have, like, just a genetic disorder or something that they couldn't do anything about? I feel for little Johnny so much. I feel for him to an insane degree. Like, my sympathy for this kid is unreal. He not only has to witness his mother dying and see her actually die, which if you've ever seen someone die before, it is the most terrifying, horrible thing ever. And so, especially if it's from a terminal illness, my uncle died from a terminal illness, and like I literally saw him the moment he died. It was not fun, not great at all. And that was like 10 years ago, and it still like haunts me. I can't imagine as a kid seeing that, as a 5-year-old seeing that. I cannot imagine. And he knows, it's one of those things where he knows something is wrong because the hospital bed's right there. Like, he gets it. He's not like, oh, I wonder what's happening. No, he gets it. And that would be so heartbreaking. And not only that, to see his mother die and then to see his father die. Like, that's just, I feel so bad for this kid. So then Sheng comes back with Big Johnny. Mr. Sheng sent the best medical team. They're on their way. So they weren't even there yet. Like, her condition's deteriorating faster than we anticipated. And then when he says, allow me, and he says, don't worry, I'm here. Like, the idea of him being a superhero and he can't save her is so heartbreaking. My heart goes out to Sheng so much. And I'm like, really? You were at the Hero Tower and you couldn't get the medical team faster, Mr. Sheng? Really? My heart. Like, And she asked if everything was going smoothly, and he said yes. She said, stop looking so distraught. It's crazy how much little Johnny looks like him, but damn, he's so good looking. You two have to be happy. And he's like, it's all three of us. And then he says, I won't let you go. Which, then him telling Ghostblade, please let him go. Oh my God. Oh my God. So good. Yep. And she's like, I don't want to let go either. But you should take little Johnny and leave this place. And yeah, and then Big Johnny's watching there. It's so creepy. It's like, ugh. So that's exactly what they do. You know what? Sheng is too pure for this world. Sheng was too pure for this world. His wife told him to quit being a hero and to leave, which is, again, talking about foils. Ghostblade was told to quit being a hero and he didn't do it. Sheng was told by his wife to quit being a hero and take the kid and go, and he did exactly that. I mean, we saw how it went out, but yeah. And then, yeah, just everything getting torn apart. The case with Big Johnny in it. And then, like, you can see the food there. It looks like it hasn't really been eaten. So, like, maybe Sheng's not eating during this time because he's still grieving. But, yeah. And that's when little Johnny's like, little Johnny sees Big Johnny, thinks he's a problem, takes his boomerang out. And in the middle of it, Sheng is like, what are we doing? And he's like, I loved when little Johnny was like, did you have an affair? And Sheng is like, are you kidding? That looks nothing like a human. Are you joking? And then I love these, like, it's a baby. I'm certain he's not from this planet. And that's when little Johnny's like, well, wait a minute. Did he fall from the sky? And he remembers the story that his mom told me. And that he's a baby. Okay, so, but here's the thing. An alien spaceship landed in a remote area a few days ago. That's why I was thinking. So he says that the spaceship landed in year 18. So if the spaceship landed in year 18, then what caused the incident at year 0? Like what? Maybe it's a mistranslation. Maybe it's not the correct translation. I don't know. I was just wrestling with that, being like, but then what was it? Or maybe Sheng was just told that it was a few days ago and it actually wasn't. So maybe he was just told it was a few days ago and given the wrong information. And it's like, was he the only one? He's the only one I found. I was afraid he'd be studied, so I brought him home. Well, you know, that's exactly what Vortex wants to do, so. I love that at first, Big Johnny is like growling like he's going to bite little Johnny. But then when he senses that little Johnny isn't going to hurt him and he licks him, he's like, I know who he is and where he's from. He's my son. Oh. Little babies come from the sky to be by their parents' side. That story from his mom, oh my God, stop. Stop it right now. Oh, it's so cute. So yeah, he basically takes Big Johnny and they move. He's like, Grandma told me that drinking milk helps you grow. So he gives Big Johnny all of the milk, but he doesn't ever change. You gotta hide in my backpack and stay quiet. So he says that Poppy and Grandpa are taking you to your new home. So you got like Sheng as Grandpa. So yeah, as they go, we get Vortex. He's like, I didn't think you'd actually leave. He's like, is this your son? I like that Sheng is shielding his son from Vortex. Like he doesn't want him to be around him. He's like, no, don't get any ideas. You must have so many things to worry about now that you're ex. There's some animosity there and some history between the two of them. And Vortex says, you're giving up your hard-earned identity as a hero. Isn't that a shame? And Sheng's like, well, what good is being a hero? And I can understand why Sheng would say that, because your whole purpose is to heal people, and the person you loved more than anyone in the world, you couldn't heal her. So he's like, what's the point? What good is being a hero? In the end, I wasn't able to save her. Oh, my heart breaks. My heart absolutely breaks. Because that's probably why he became a hero in the first place. And then he couldn't do what he set out to do. And this part here, where he says, after downfall, people will never again be granted powers that surpass the gods. I don't know. Have you seen the heroes lately, sir? I mean, this is back in year 18. Have you seen the heroes of now? I would question that a little bit. I would question that. So I'm guessing Downfall is Downfall year 0 when all this started going down with the trust values and all that. Is that what that is? We're going to see. We're going to see. Maybe, possibly, possible. But, okay. I think, Vortex, you might be wrong on that. I think some of their powers do surpass the gods at this point. Oh, Sheng looks so good there. Damn, he looks really good. That might be the thumbnail. That's a really good shot. A really good shot. He's like, don't tell me you're worried about me. I value this hard-earned retirement. Okay, and so then we have the scene that little Johnny is referring to about him and his dad driving the car, which connects to Ghostblade. Little Johnny's dad, Sheng, checks off every box for me, so I need you all to know that. That woman was a lucky woman. Yep. So he's like, somewhere no one knows us. Well, that was short-lived because they did figure out who he was. Yep. And then, damn. So they go out. If you've not seen the movie Wolf Children, I would highly recommend that you do watch the movie Wolf Children, because this scene here where they fixed up the house was giving me vibes with that. It was giving me a lot of vibes. So they get to work. They clean it up. The mop scene was really cute, where the dad was like, really? You threw the mop at me? That was great. I love the evil be gone, our cursed mop demon. The neighbors think that the whole place is haunted and spooky, which does not go over well. And one thing I did like was that one thing I appreciated was that the kids that were bullying him as a child, over the last few years, they become friends. Like, I like that they kind of worked it out. This whole scene here in front of the grave of the mom was giving me Forrest Gump vibes, where Forrest Gump in the sun, it was giving me those vibes. I'm just saying, if you've not seen Forrest Gump, this scene was giving me that too. Your mom used to say that sorrow can't heal wounds, nor miraculously bring back the dead. But it allowed us to remember what our hearts truly valued and truly needed. That's really smart. I like her saying that, being sad about something, it doesn't bring it back or heal it, but it reminds you of why you wanted it and why you valued it. I like that. He says, so when it's time to cry, cry loudly, but afterwards we can't forget what makes hope go on is the power of a smile. Ooh, so that hero smile, is that going to come back to that? That feels like it's a little foreshadowy, like it's ominous for some reason. But I like the idea of, cry it out, let your emotions out, but then smile through it at the end. I like that. Yes, be emotional. Look at this show not giving into toxic masculinity. Sheng is like a real one. Sheng is a dad among dads. I freaking love him. But yeah. And so then, little Big Johnny's eating the whisper flowers. Naughty boy. So yeah, episode 17 is called Whisper Flower. The flower with like the lingering scent. And so him and, I was like, was he doing Pokemon moves because he said Flame Wheel? So yeah, I like that he has the mask on and everything. And the kids at first, as someone that's grown up in a rural area, I can tell you that growing up, people are always like, oh, they're from a city. They don't understand the way things are done around here, and like had that kind of mentality. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that these country bumpkin kids at first think that little Johnny is going to be like a threat to them. And we get a little taste of Big Johnny starting to like transform. And I like that the kids like eventually became friends with little Johnny. That's kind of awesome. Like over the years, they became friends. And you're going to become a hero. I like that Big Johnny has not grown in like the last 3 years, right? He's been the same. And then, yeah, over time, we get to him being 9 years old and starting to grow. And like, no. Big Johnny has never grown a bit. So there is a high probability that Big Johnny has just been, I don't know, they said the spaceship crashed a few days ago. The translation seems off on that. I don't know how to read that. But yeah, he just is never going to get any bigger. I do like the idea that they have this really sweet, adorable moment, and then Vortex shows up. It's been a while. I don't know why they hid Vortex's face for so long. Maybe to build up the mystery. I was like, is this Isol? Are we seeing his face? I was like, is this Mr. Sheng cosplaying? I was like, what? Because the white hair? I was like, what? I mean, DJ Shindig's head didn't go white, but we now have 2 white-haired X characters, which is not a lot, but, you know, if I had 2 nickels, it's kind of weird that it happened. So let's talk about that. Who has been X? Boa has been X around the 30s in those years. Vortex has been X around years 18-ish. DJ Shindig. Let me get that right there. DJ Shindig was X. Smile was X before Boa. And then we also had Nice. Well, was Nice X? I don't think Nice was. Oh my gosh. Isol. Isol was X, right? So there have been 5 that we've seen that have been X. And then we have the actual just X. It's weird that they call Vortex just X, which honestly, Vortex has an X at the end of it, so it's a little confusing. But yeah, interesting. Smile, DJ Shindig, Vortex, all 3 of them have like an arrogance to them once they become X. Nobody. Like, they have an arrogance to them. It's pretty noticeable. Boa was kind of, I don't know if Boa had an arrogance. I wouldn't describe her as being in the same boat as Smile and DJ Shindig and Vortex. And then Isol was so solemn that I don't think we got anything out of that. And then I'm trying to think of who else. Queen wants to be X, but she can't get there. So, interesting. Those are the only ones I can think of that have been X. If I'm missing somebody that we've been told was X before, then you can let me know. This part here, where he asks Sheng, how you doing? And Sheng's like, I'm doing so great, I've already forgotten all about the past. That feels like a statement of Sheng saying, I don't need to be followed. You don't have to worry about me telling secrets. I've let it all behind. Nope. I think Sheng knew he was being targeted. He just didn't want to get little Johnny involved. He's like, why are you here? And he's like, well, you know me well. I feel like these 2 were once rivals. They have like the yellow and blue against each other motif. And he wants Sheng to come back. And Sheng's like, no, I can't do it. I did kind of get a little bit mad at Vortex when he's like, I know your wife's death affected you, but, as long as somebody remembers who you are, then, you could still be a hero. If someone doesn't believe in themselves, no matter how many followers they have, it's just a pile of useless numbers. I feel like Boa is a good example of that. Definitely, of the idea of just because you're number 1, if you don't believe in yourself, then it's going to be questionable either way. I felt like Vortex was a little insensitive, being like, it's been 3 years. Why ain't you gotten over your wife being dead? And it's like, grief does not work on a timeline, sir. And if Sheng says no, he's like, you're burying your talents. And he's like, well, and Sheng's like, why do you care? Do you just need a rival? What's going on? Just focus on yourself. Think of your child. And I think Sheng's like, I am thinking of my child by not being a hero. He's like, I'm your biggest threat. Do you need me to heal your wound? Oh, nice. Okay, that makes more sense now, because I feel like Vortex is projecting like he misses Sheng. He wants Sheng to come back and like work with him, and Sheng's like, do you want me to heal that? Because I'm not interested. Oof. So yeah, little Johnny's like, what's his relationship like? And so he sees the friends, and they bring out the magazine saying, your dad has the power to heal everything. And then the one kid's like, well, why couldn't he heal your mom? And they're like, shut up, don't talk about that. And then he sees that's him. I like that little Johnny does not blame his dad for not being able to heal his mom. I like that little Johnny is kind of like mature enough to understand that if his dad could have, he would have. I thought that was really nice that little Johnny's not like, he's not mad at his dad about that. So like, yeah, they're like, who is this guy came to our house today? They're like, that's him. The X people have an air about them, that's for sure. And he's even on the cover Yeah. He's the current X. X was at your house. You city heroes are evil beings that bring bad luck. Well, you know. So then little Johnny goes back, but by the time he gets home, there's been a battle and Ghostblade has killed his dad. Now, horrifying, so sad. Him stumbling across his dad's dead body is absolutely heartbreaking. But Vortex comes to talk to him, and Ghostblade immediately comes after to kill him. So, I don't know if Vortex couldn't say anything, and he sensed that something was about to go down, and he tried to warn Sheng and get him to come back with him, and then it didn't work, and he was too late, or if it was just coincidence. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that goes. This is heartbreaking. Like, I feel so bad for little Johnny. I really do. And Big Johnny, like, who also cared for him. Oh, that's hard to watch. Like, the way that Big Johnny reacted, they're like, did this person do this to you? Big Johnny gets affected and gets really mad. So Big Johnny has a big emotional outburst, which he's had it with Ghostblade, and then he had it, I'm assuming, with DJ Shindig attacking. So, and that got Cyan and Queen's attention. So we're going to have to see where that goes, but I love the idea. It reminds me of Digimon. Okay, yes. Lopmon in Digimon, he like gets hit with a virus and becomes like this evil version of himself. This is giving me those vibes. This is giving me those vibes of that Digivolution. I love the imp quality. And for little Johnny, I was not expecting him to be like, I'm going to find the truth and I'm going to avenge you. Little Johnny is all about avenging his dad through his tears, but I'm like, if he finds out that Ghostblade is the actual murderer of his dad, how's that gonna go? How's that gonna go? How is that gonna go? And will he have, matured enough to forgive Ghostblade? Or, I don't know. My thing is, I wonder if little Johnny does not know that Ghostblade is the murderer of his dad. I wonder if Big Johnny knows. I wonder if Big Johnny can detect it. I don't know how he would, but interesting. It's going to be curious because Ghostblade, like, what I mean is Big Johnny was going after the scent of the person who killed him, which would be Ghostblade, and Ghostblade's still on the scene because he's watching the battle with Vortex go out. So how is that going to go? Is Big Johnny going to remember that scent? I don't know. Anyway, the kids don't seem to be bothered by Big Johnny, but the city is like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then Vortex shows up. His powers, I like that his gauntlets look like typhoons. And so they just get there, and he uses his telekinetic vortex powers to grab all that up and swirl it around Big Johnny. He's like, everything's fine, I am here. I don't know, he seems to be causing a lot of destruction, but sure, Jan. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be him versus Big Johnny. Once I subdue you, I'll take you to the commission for research. I don't know. He pulls anything into a vortex. Interesting. That is a pretty cool power. It's a pretty cool ability. And then Ghostblade is watching as all this goes down. Okay. Year 2122 is around, I'll piece together parts of the timeline. Was the plane crash with Cyan year 23? Was that correct? Year 23 was the plane crash that Cyan was in. Because I was like, year 21, 22 sounds similar. I want to go back and, like, looking at that shot of that vortex, I want to go back and check something. Back in episode 8. So it would have been the beginning when we saw Cyan. Yeah, okay. So where's I need them subtitles on. So it shows the plane crash. Because wasn't this year 23? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, 23. Yeah, okay. And there was a whole deal with Liu, because he found all of this and found Lucky Cyan. And then, like, I want to say he quit his job at the journalism thing. Okay, what does he say here? Because this lady's like, if we don't dig up the truth, that doesn't mean people don't care about it. Why didn't anyone render aid to the plane? Are you pointing fingers at heroes? And so he says they're behind the disaster, the heroes' collective failure. I don't know. I feel like there was something mentioned. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he resigns from that, and then he sees the one guy, and the guy on the street. Yeah, it says truth of the world. And he says, what are you doing? And it's the one guy, the protester. He says, investigate the crash, accept fear, give the world the truth. Okay. And then Liu's like, what are you blabbing about? What did you just say? And he takes off and says it was caused by human hands. It was caused by the whirlpool of conflict between heroes. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, something, when I saw the vortex and the swirl, I was like, that, something was mentioned. And I was like, what was it? Yeah, caused by the whirlpool of conflicts between heroes. So, this is like year 22, so it's still a year off. But I'm like, did Vortex cause that plane crash? Did he do that? I was like, something was up. And I was like, wait a minute. This whole like, yeah, because the moment we saw that, I'm like, and he's the #1 hero. Oh my gosh. So, if Vortex and Whirlpool are different, but they're very similar. So if Vortex was behind, like, if Vortex was battling another hero and caused this and a plane got involved, Vortex kind of he has the mindset about him that I could totally see him being like, well, these plebeians, I'm the greatest hero and they're lucky to have me. Like, he just gives off those vibes. So if he was fighting another hero, then it could be that they caused the plane to crash, but they didn't want it to come out because he was the #1 hero. Telling the people that their #1 hero caused this disaster would tank him immediately. So in doing damage control, they just covered it up. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be putting all the blame on Vortex when he does not deserve it. But I mean, that attack and that part there, I was like, because that's been one of the things I've been waiting for them to go back to Liu and his conversation with that protester, because they were like saying it was an inside job, and then it's never been brought up again, and it's been like literally almost 10 episodes, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's something there. So anyway, what a damn cliffhanger. I'm glad that I don't have to sit around. Hopefully, I've got to catch up on everything else on my channel before I go on my trip, but I'm hoping before I leave on my trip, because I'm going to be gone for like nearly a week, I hope that I can watch episode 18 to see something else, because I need to see what happens next. Please no spoilers. We're getting close to the end of season 1. I hope, I don't know if they're planning on a season after this. I don't remember if they were, but if they are, that'd be awesome, because I feel like we're not going to get all these answers by the time this season ends. We haven't even gotten back to Lin Ling. We probably won't get back to Lin Ling until like the last episode. It'll just bookmark with him. Anyway, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of TBHX. And I'll see you then. Bye.